Hello everyone, welcome to Crafty Garden. My name is Stephanie and you are joining me for a special episode. Today I'm going to talk about a visit that I had to the Mad River Fiber Arts and Mill. It's a store and a mill, and just decided yesterday, it was a very rainy day. Tux is up here visiting. He doesn't usually get to be in my craft room, but since I'm in here, I let him come in. He was being really cuddly, and now he's getting on my fabric. No laying on my fabric. That's why he's usually not allowed in here. So we went up to visit the mill and the store, and yeah, my husband went with me. We thought we would go for a little drive, and there's some pretty waterfalls. There was like probably 100, at least 100 little waterfalls on the way up there, because right now there's a lot of snow melt happening in the higher elevations, and that's causing a lot of, snow melt is creating a lot of little mini waterfalls everywhere. So, and there's one waterfall in particular which you can visit year round. And it was really, really gushing, and I have a video of that at the end that I'll put at the end of this. So maybe having him in here wasn't a good idea. I just let him out so he will stop interrupting this. So back to what I was saying. We went to visit the mill and the store, and I thought, all I thought we would do was maybe spend a little bit of time there, check out the store, see what they have, and then, probably buy some things that I don't need. Like, that was my only thought about driving up there, was to visit and then, maybe pick up something to play with. And so we ended up staying for quite a while, and I really, got into some good conversations with the owner of the mill. So her name is Susan, and Susan Snyder, and this is her business card. And Kristen Judkins was also there, and there's her card. And Kristen has Finn sheep and Shetland sheep crosses. And yeah, Susan is the owner of the mill. So I don't know if Susan has sheep. I don't think I asked that, but yeah, so I ended up taking some footage of her guiding me through the mill and the different machines that they have and what they do, and it was really exciting and fun. I think I learned a lot, and so I recorded that, and that just kind of happened. We started chatting. About my Shetland colorwork project, which I had brought some knitting for the road, and I brought it into the store, and I was telling Kristen that I follow her on Instagram, and I follow the mill on Instagram, and sometimes you follow somebody or somebody follows you and they don't recognize your face, but they recognize they might, or you seem familiar, but they don't know right away. So once I told her that I'm the one behind the Shetland Colorwork project, and I showed her this swatch, which I have shared on Instagram, she's like, "Oh, that's you," and and so we got into some conversations about spinning and fiber and sheep and all those kinds of things. Both of them are going to be at the New Hampshire Sheep and Wool Festival. They're going to have a booth for the Mad River Fiber Arts and Mill, and I think Kristen's going to be selling some of her yarn, which comes from her own sheep, and I think she's going to be dyeing all of that, or most of it. So yeah, you'll see her in the background of the videos working on her yarn, which she showed me. And the one she showed me was like a blend of her Finn, Shetland, and I think some mohair, if I'm not mistaken. It was very soft and lovely. It was like a 2-ply sport. And yeah, I think that'll be beautiful when she finishes that. So yeah, so they'll be at New Hampshire Sheep and Wool Festival. I'm planning on going. So I think I'll be there too. But again, I'm getting off topic. So yeah, I had brought my project, and I had shared The teeny bit that I've knitted so far, this is the 4th time that I've cast on for the hem of a cardigan, of a colorwork cardigan that's made out of Shetland, natural Shetland colors from 5 different fleeces that I spun. And you can watch, if you don't already know, you can watch my last video, which was my Shetland Colorwork project, part of my Fleece to FO series. It was part 8, and that was the last video that I just recorded. So before I turn you over to the tour, I wanted to share what I got after the tour and what I purchased and have already started spinning as well. So yeah, first I'll show you my little goodie bag. So there's their little logo, and I bought 2 bats and some yarn. So I'll show you the bat that I started spinning first. So this one was made by Susan, and it's Border Leicester. I think, if I'm remembering this correctly, this is Border Leicester. That's what the BL stands for. 5.5 ounces. And it's in this gradient bump of roving that she's put together. It's very similar, you know, if you're familiar with loop bumps, it's that same kind of idea where you can pull from the center. And I started spinning this morning, and I've already spun so much of it. It's spinning really, really fast. So I'm very excited to get to the purple. And like, you know, it's starting to, spring has sprung, and we're starting to get into the warmer weather, and I'm wanting to just like have all of the spring colors, and yeah, I'm very inspired by like this coral. I'm very attracted to the pinky peaches and the corals right now. So yeah, this is my little Shetland basket of Shetland. My husband just started a lawnmower. I hope you can't hear that. This is a bunch of the natural shades of Shetland that I spun up in here. But I also put this in here to bring upstairs. So this is what I started spinning this morning. And I probably spent 30-45 minutes spinning this. And it's just probably a light fingering single with a modified long draw. So it was spinning really, really fast. Beautiful, open fiber, easy to spin. It is, this fiber does have a high micron count, just by the feel of it. This isn't something I would probably want next to my neck. I don't know what I'll use with this for, and it's not something you probably want next to skin. If you're sensitive, definitely not. It's mildly scratchy. But I think what I'm going to do with it is make a some kind of art yarn, because lately I have been doing so much very serious spinning where I'm really concentrating on creating a yarn that I'm going to want to knit a garment out of, and I've been doing a lot of that lately, so it's fun just to do something that is very like carefree, a very carefree spin. And I think I'm going to try and do something really fun, some kind of art yarn, maybe do some spirally, just funky art yarn. I don't know, I haven't decided yet. So that's what I've spun up so far from that bat. And under here there's some pink that you can't see because it's covered with all of the orange now, but there was like a bright pink to coral on the inside, and then went to orange, and then it's going to go into this purple, and there's this fun kind of green happening before the purple. So that was one thing I purchased, and I also got another bat, and so this one was made by Susan, and I think she had quite a few more of these in Border Leicester, and she's making probably, I'm going to guess maybe, I think she said she's making more of this style bumps, but maybe she's going to sell them at the festival, at the New Hampshire Sheep and Wool Festival. So Kristen also has some bats. This is not like that style where it pulls from the center. This is just a regular bat. She included some Angelina, which has like this gold and copper. And I'm on the fence about whether I want to actually add this into it, or if I just want to leave it with the wool. I've been going back and forth thinking like, I'll add it, no, I won't add it, I don't know yet. And I might do something where I use this and the orange and this bump together. I might spin this separately and then ply this onto it in a fun art yarn kind of way. I don't know. I'm gonna look at some of my spinning books and find like some inspiration to do something fun. So this is a blended bat of Romney, Finn, and Mohair, bamboo, and silk with the side of Angelina glitter. And it's about 3.9 ounces. And yeah, so that's her brand name. So this is the bat, and I'll show you. It's mostly yellow and like a gold and orange color with some other like kind of like terracotta almost right there. Yeah, it's very bright, really beautiful. I spun just a teeny tiny bit of it last night, just like with my fingers. You can just take a little bit of fiber at the end and just start spinning. And if you want to play with something right away, but you shouldn't like put it on the wheel or whatever, and you just want to see what it'll look like. So I do this a lot, where I'll just finger spin a little piece and then ply it back on itself to get an idea of what the yarn might look like. And then, yeah, really, really pretty yellow. I really love it. I wanted to get something that I don't have a lot of, and I don't have a lot of yellow, but I do love, I love this yellow. It's so gorgeous. Very pretty. Okay, so that's the two bats that I bought, and I also bought one skein of their yarn. It's their barn yarn. I'm just trying to put this bat up. Sorry for the crinkly noise if you hear that. So I bought this barn yarn, and I took this skein apart last night and was playing with it a little bit. But yeah, it's barn yarn, 100% Vermont merino, about 100 grams and 175 yards. So that's their barn yarn. I don't know what I'm going to do with this, which is bad to just buy one skein and not know what you're going to do with it, but I loved the green. It's not even coming off as green as it is in real life. It's really, really bright grass green, shamrock kind of green. So I was just very attracted to this green, and I don't know what I'm going to make with it yet. Probably some kind of accessory, or I could do a little color work with some other, if I have some other fiber or yarn that I'll spin or find to knit with it. So that's all I got from the store. I was very tempted to buy, they had the black and white issue of Making magazine, and there's this really beautiful all over cabled open front cardigan that is really, really gorgeous. I feel like it's called Yoshida. I could be completely wrong about that. But I had been eyeballing that on Ravelry, but I just can't. I have way too many projects as it is, and my Shetland colorwork project is going to be very time-consuming project. So I think I should be very dedicated to getting that, working on that. So yeah, I'll turn you over to the tour. So at the end of the video, I'll put some little extras. So the waterfall, as we were driving back home, we drove by this waterfall on Route 100 in Vermont. And I forget the name of the waterfall. I'm not going to look it up either, but it's just on Route 100. There's actually a couple different ones. This is one that you can see right from the road. And so we just slowed down. It was raining so heavily, and the snowmelt was such yesterday that there was a lot of flooding. There's been a lot of flooding in Vermont lately. And on our way up, there was one part of the road where the water had started to come over the road. And then on our way home, that was actually, the water was moving across the road, which was, it wasn't that bad, but if we had probably waited any longer, it probably would have been bad news. But as we drove by the waterfall, we just really slowed down. I opened the window, and you'll see in the video that the waterfall is just absolutely gushing. And the water was like being forced out so violently that I could actually feel the water coming into the car from the waterfall. So yeah, I'll put that at the end of the video, and some other little photos and things. I'll tell you that if you do get the chance to visit, there is some really yummy places to eat, and I had asked them for their opinions on where to go. There's a place called Worthy Burger, and that's where we ended up going. My husband really wanted a burger, so we went there. Really yummy, and they have like a little bar area so you can sample local Vermont beer, and that was really good. So we did that, and then we went over to, like, not far, just kind of across the road, there's another little plaza where there was an ice cream creamy stand, which had creamies and food, but we went for the ice cream, and that was really delicious, like more of a gourmet. I should say, because some of you guys aren't gonna know, I forget that people outside of Vermont don't know what a creamy is. So creamy is soft serve ice cream, and when you're in Vermont, you don't say soft serve, you say creamy. So you go get a creamy, which is soft serve ice cream. But these were not like your typical vanilla and chocolate. They had fun flavors, more gourmet kind of flavors. The chocolate was intense, dark, like chocolate, and they had like a mint basil or basil white chocolate, and they had a maple, and they had a strawberry, and I think they're probably all made from like fresh ingredients, because you could really tell that it was a quality ice cream that I didn't need to get, but it was really good. So all right, that's it. I hope you enjoy the tour. It's going to start with the washing, and then it'll end at the end with the felting machine, which was cool to see. So not anything was operating, and please keep in mind that I am not, I've just recorded this with my cell phone, and that I don't do this kind of thing often, and so the camera quality or the recording quality may not be amazing, and I don't always have the focus on Susan, who is speaking, and I also didn't want to like make her feel uncomfortable having the camera constantly on her. So so yeah, hope you enjoy it, and maybe the next time I see you guys, I don't have any more big breaks until the summer. I have a couple small breaks, but yeah, maybe I'll try to do some kind of little New Hampshire Sheep and Wool Festival video, and yeah, and that'll probably be the next thing I do if I have the opportunity to record. So I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Hope it wasn't too rambly. This is way longer than I meant it to be, but yeah, see you next time. I'm gonna go outside and play because it is a beautiful day. Bye.
Yeah, it's Icelandic.
And that heats it and spins, or?
It just gently moves this way. There's no agitation.
Right.
It's not doing like, like your home washing machine.
Yeah.
We have a special soap. It's citrus based. It helps to get the grease and everything out.
Yeah.
And then it just very slowly
kind of lets all of the dirt and lanolin come out.
We soak it, we rinse it, and then once it's clean, we do a little dip test to make sure all the lanolin is out of the wool. And then once it's clean, it comes over to these drying racks.
What is the dip test?
It's very simple. We just fill up this 4-cup measuring thing, and then we take some, when this spins out,
right,
we would just take, like, let's say this is, yeah,
like that water would be removed for the most part.
It would just stay clear. Nope, the water would stay clear.
Oh.
So if this is clean, which this is getting clean because it's been washed, I'm just trying to rinse it.
Right.
So if I do this with it, this water should be clear, which this is very good.
Yeah. So not VM, but the color of the water.
Correct, because if it's milky, it still has grease in it.
Yes.
So all these little, the chaff in here is clean.
Yes.
And that will all come out in the machines. It's just that now we've gotten all the oil out of it.
Nice.
And then landing, just like a Shetland, it's not very greasy.
Right.
So it's pretty straightforward to wash.
And these just air dry?
Yep. Everything just air dries. Usually takes about 24 hours, a little longer now that it's getting warmer.
Yeah.
And more humid. And then we have some blue sheep. We grow blue sheep here. So we have some nice locks from them.
What is this up here?
This is, I think it's a Romney. These are Romneys. This is. I'm not sure. She didn't know. Oh, this is a Dorset. I'm sorry. These are Dorsets. Yeah.
Oh.
This is a really pretty one.
Yeah. It almost looks like Corriedale.
Yeah, but it's long. Yeah, this is a really nice fleece for a Dorset. I was really surprised. So we're gonna blend this with this and one of these alpaca. This is alpaca, which is actually nice too. So she wants it blended. We can blend. We can do all kinds of blends. The idea here, it's kind of like you teasing it apart with your hands before you would put it into your carder.
Right.
So that's what we do here. And watch your step on this. And it goes on this belt. So the machine blows it into this room. And then we condition it. We put some spinning conditioner on it to help keep it together and control static.
Right.
And this is going to be, it'll be roving. I'm going to make those bumps that are out there. And then it goes from this machine, from the picker to the fiber separator. And what the purpose of the fiber separator is to get out all that vegetable matter.
Yes.
So typically it goes through this machine twice. And then hopefully it's pretty much nice and clean.
Yes. Yeah.
Gets all that stuff out of it.
I bet that's a fun machine to clean.
Yeah, it's actually not so bad. It's pretty one of the easier ones. Everything falls down. All the waste falls down to the bottom, so what's dirty is it all ends up, a lot of it on the floor.
Yeah.
But it also takes out a lot of the short ends, like you were talking about guard hairs, the Kemp. Okay. So what you're doing by hand with your Shetland. Second cuts, all that falls out in this machine. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the idea is we want to just get a lot of, more and more consistent batch of fiber.
Yeah.
And then once that happens, it goes onto the carder. So this is the carder. And now by then, so by this time, we keep everything double bagged because of the conditioner. We don't want it drying out, otherwise it gets too staticky. So by now, compared to what you saw even on the shelves.
Yeah.
And the carder too also will take out a little bit of the, take out.
And this is basically a bat. It's a giant bat.
No, this is just loose fiber.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so
this machine will do that then.
Right. So then but now it's nice and clean. It's fluffy.
Yes.
This is a Cheviot Texel cross, so it's more on the downy side.
Yeah.
Characteristic. And then once it goes through the carder, again, see the emotion here. So the carder, everything is on the belt, and it goes on to the switch, which is the big drum. And once it goes in, it goes onto those drums. It gets put onto the Swift. It goes up, and then on these sets, it comes off, gets combed. Well, we don't comb, but we, like your drum card.
Yes, it kind of.
It's not worsted. It's not a top. It's carded.
Yes.
So it comes off, goes on.
So this whole series is a woolen prep.
Correct.
Yes.
Exactly. Excuse me. So it comes in, it goes off and on, until we get here. Here you can see a little bit of it comes off much thicker because there's nothing in the carder, but this is the end of a run. And so this is your roving.
Right.
So we sell the roving, or sometimes I feed this up into a big bump, which is what I'm going to do with the colored
The
stuff.
blue? Yeah.
The blue, the red, there's green and yellow around. I got to do it. Or...
And they normally go into these, right?
Right, it would go into the bucket, but this is the end of a run.
Yeah.
So if someone just wants roving, like that big bag up on top shelf, that's just a big bag of roving.
Yeah.
The customer just wants.
And they could spin it themselves, or they could sell it as roving.
Yeah. Or what we would do is take this feed. So if there was more on here, so this is where it's coming off.
Yeah.
So what we would do is feed this onto this drum, the web.
Okay.
Feed the web onto this drum, which would then turn, and this is where you get that big bat.
Yeah, that would make a big bat.
So kind of like, see what's happening, it gets stuck, and kind of pull it.
And that's just because there's not enough fiber on there right now.
There's nothing in them.
Yeah.
But it's always interesting to me how it stays together even with just a few strands,
right.
You know. So this could roll, and we can get like 1.5 pounds of wool on here, and then when you cut it off, now you've got this huge bat that's about 2 feet wide and I don't know, it's like 3 feet long, something like that. And then you can peel it to put onto the felting machine.
Yes, and then have it felted.
Because when you felt, you know, some fibers go this way and then they go this way, and then and if it's going to become yarn, then we take the roving that's in the buckets, and the first thing is it goes through this machine, which is what's on the Instagram today.
Is it?
Yeah, this is our Friday on Saturday.
This is
Friday's fiber on Saturday.
Yesterday's fiber was hay.
Is this a pen, like a pen drafter?
No, it's still woolen, but this replaces some mills that do true top.
Right.
So they would have a pin drafter. We don't.
You don't do pin drafting.
Right.
Okay.
But this is the step where that would happen, where you would take the roving and literally you're feeding it through. So it's doing the same. It is lining everything up, not as much as a pin drafter would. Mm-hmm. But the idea is that it's just drafting it out, pulling it, getting everything consistent,
making it to a thin roving.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
But see, it's still going over, drums that have teeth on it. So every time you do this, it just makes it more consistent and nicer.
Like a smoother.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. And it's all calculation. You'd love it because it's all math. It is all math. I mean, everything is, so in other words, when everything is by weight and feed. So for example, when you're doing the carder, there's a particular weight that we put 3 ounces between those blue lines. Right. Then you calculate at the speed the machine is going, how many yards you're going to get out the back, and then, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because the idea is when we get to the spinner, we would like the buckets in the back to be of similar length.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So
it's like if I try to spin a bobbin, and I want all of my bobbins to be the
so that
same.
when you're plying it,
yes,
it goes fast. Like this one, I mean, it never comes out perfect, but it's really darn close. So once one bucket starts to end, they all start to go. Yeah. And then the other consideration is how many plies the finished yarn's going to have. Yes. So if you want a 3-ply, you have to make sure that you spin enough that's divisible by 3. Right. Yeah. Okay. And actually, it's funny. You kind of smile. This company Belfast, they originally only made 8, so this can handle 12 bobbins. Yes. Yeah. They originally only made an 8 was their largest. Right. But 8 is not divisible by 3.
Right, correct.
So it was hard because then that means if you had a 3-ply yarn, then you couldn't do it all at the same time.
Right.
You had to.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Right.
Yeah.
So we were actually
12 is a much more.
Yeah, you could. It's divisible by 2. It's divisible by 4. It's divisible by 3.
Yes.
Right.
Do a 6-ply if you want.
You could. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we were one of the first mills to get the 12 bobbin.
Yeah, I think I did
Spinner.
see that on your Instagram or maybe on your website.
It could be, yeah. So it's
and then these are your bobbins?
These are bobbins, yep. So these are the bobbins, and goes across, and so just like you spin, we calculate what size we want the single to be,
right?
So that when you ply it, you get the size
desired weight. Yeah,
and we work in wraps per inch is the easiest thing for us to do
versus like yards per pound.
Yeah, we can do yards per pound, but because what we do is very breed specific. If someone comes to us with a commercial skein of yarn, which is just homogenized wool, it's hard because merino weighs less than a Shetland would weigh, which weighs differently than an Icelandic might weigh. So if you say I want 1,800 yards a pound, the size of the yarn could be quite different.
Right.
But what's interesting here, because as a spinner, is that a lot of this is very much the same way. It's very much similar to if you were hand spinning. So the spindle speed is your treadling, right? Keeping the flyer moving. So that's this part. And then you've got your back, which is your draft. So that is more or less how many, if your roving is this thick, do you want to draft it 5 times, 8 times, 10 times? Okay.
Right. So you're programming that into that.
Yep. And that's what this number is. And then you have your twist per inch, which you could actually, it's kind of like how you figure it before you let the yarn go on to the
how
bobbin.
much twist do you want to put in that single?
Correct.
Before you ply it.
Before you let it go on the bobbin.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So it's very, if you're a spinner like we are, it's very intuitive.
Right.
Versus people that do these mills and don't weave, don't spin,
they don't have that hands-on experience.
Yeah. So we know what we want as the output. So that makes all the difference. And then we take the bobbins, the singles, and we come over to the plier. This is the same exact machine. You could spin singles on this also. Because the other thing is it goes also by Z twist and S twist, which is also a hand spinning nomenclature, right? So that's easy to understand.
Do you have a certain preference? Do you tend to spin one way and ply the other?
The singles we leave on Z, which is very American.
Yeah.
And then we ply S.
Yeah.
We do have some crepe construction yarn out there. I don't know if you saw it, but
no, I didn't see it yet.
I got it out of my hand spinning book. Actually, I'm like, we could do this on the machines. And it's actually a 3-ply yarn that 2 of them are plied Z and 1 is plied S. And it gives it a very cool construction. So then we can ply it up however, 2-ply, 3-ply, whatever the customer is looking for. There is a calculation. It is a little bit trickier with the plying because of the machines. When you set the twist for the ply, you start off, a certain calculation. And it's not like a 1-for-1 that you might think by hand because of the machines.
Yeah.
And then once it's yarn, the way you would know it, we go over here and we put it onto a cone. And then we take the cones and we come over to, these are the cones, so it gets plied. We'll get on the clothes. And then the cones come over to this machine and we steam it. So it gets steamed in this chamber here. And that just kind of holds the twist, starts to even things out. And just like when you're hand spinning, the more distance, the more it helps to even the twist out in your entire batch, so to speak, right? So it comes into here, it goes through this tube. This tube is hot, but it's not wet. So when it comes through the side here, it goes up on the pigtails, over here, comes back down, goes back on the cone. And
so
now,
you cone it twice?
Yeah. Just because it's easier for the bobbins to go to a cone than putting the bobbins over here. And so now, once it's back on the cone, we can calculate the yardage and the weight.
Right, so it runs through it, and then it takes that measurement as it's going through the machine.
So it comes through here. This is the counter, is what makes it.
Much nicer than doing that by hand.
Yeah.
And then if you wanted to, you can skein it into hanks, or...
Yep.
Yeah.
What we usually do, very few people take it on the cone. And then we skein it, and then we rinse them, and we kind of flush everything up. And so once you have the weight and the yardage, you can calculate how many yards per 4-ounce skein you need, or 100-gram skein, or whatever size you're looking for.
And does this tell you how many yards are on each hank too?
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's nice. Much nicer than doing it by hand.
Yeah, I don't even do that at home anymore. I just come in and I'm like, okay, here you go. Yeah, so when Kristen calculated this, we should keep track. So this cone has 2,660 yards on it. And if you weigh it, then you can figure out approximately how many yards you would need per 4 ounces, which she then sets up on the skein winder, and away you go.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for sharing everything with us.
And this does a 2-yard skein, and this is about 1.5 yards, this size.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So this is 1.5 yard skein. It's a little bit shorter. We prefer the long ones. It just twists really nicely, and then. And then when it's dry, we hang them here, and then we take our handy dandy
drill.
Oh, it's our twister.
Yeah.
And there you go.
Yeah, beautiful.
So it's a wet felting machine, and we take big, nice, beautiful bats off the carder, and then we lay them out on this table here, and then we get it wet with hot soapy water. Then you bring the top down, you clamp it, and then when we turn it on, this bottom plate vibrates.
Yeah, they kind of rub together.
Yeah, right, so you get the agitation that you need. And that's it, usually 15-20 minutes on each side, and then we hang them out to dry.
What do people do with the felted sheets?
Well, it's non-woven fabric, so you can cut it, you can sew it, depending on how you design it. People hang it on the wall.
Do they use it for batting, or?
You could.
Yeah.
You could do that. It would make, because what comes off the carder is really big and fluffy, but if you felted it a little bit like this, or pre-felted it, some people call it, you could certainly use this for quilting or batting or something like that.
Oh, thanks for sharing.
Yeah.